Sound Designs, Portugal.
So I'm here with Drekavac.
I am Odoron, the rhythm guitar.
And I'm Mephistopheles, the drummer.
I'm Hyperion, the vocalist.
I'm Sodom, the keyboardist.
He's Sodom and he plays keys.
I'm Queerthana and I'm bass.
And I'm Jogger and I play the other guitar.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. How did the project start?
Ooh. Would you like to take this one? Because it involves me, myself, and Mephistopheles are basically the founding members of Drekavac. I told this story last time. You want to take it? Yeah.
I think you'll do a better job than me. You can all forget all the important details.
A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I met Mephistopheles down in a place in Aberdeen called the Tunnels, and I was familiar with his work in extreme metal bands in the past. So I think I was really drunk, wasn't I?
I think I was. I probably said yes, and I don't even know what I was agreeing to. So.
But I just said, you know, hey man, you want to start a black metal band? And he said yes, and the rest is history. It grew from there, you know.
10 years later.
Yeah,
so
nearly 10 years, and it's been a hell of a ride. But it all started in that dark, cold place.
I was young then, yeah.
Quite a few member changed as well since.
Yeah.
Why did you choose the style that you're playing? Like, it's black metal with some death metal influences, some symphonic influences as well.
It's almost like a combination of all the styles of music that we enjoy listening to, and we wanted to try and fuse as many of them together but still kind of work with each other, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my take on it anyway. So
it was more of an organic development. It wasn't like we went out of our way and said from the beginning we're going to be this, that, or the other. We kind of wanted to do a black metal project, but we very much learned as we went along with this thing. We didn't go in saying we want to sound like Gorgoroth, we want to sound like Dark Throne, we want to be Celts, you know, and all that stuff. You know, we just wanted to make just dark, sinister music with a good dark energy and in the spirit of and the tradition of black metal, and it just grew from there. Guitarists come in, they bring their own influences in, and sometimes we've been more black metal, sometimes we've been more black and death. You know, it evolves all the time. We're not particularly looking to tick any boxes, we're just letting it grow and become whatever it is. It's a natural beast, it's its own thing. It defines itself, it doesn't get defined by anybody else, not even us. It's a monster, you know.
And once Sodom joined us, was like last year or the year before, that's when we started he brought in his style of keys, and that's when it kind of like started going more towards leaning more towards the symphonic stuff as well. So with the newer stuff, we're trying to incorporate more keys rather than just having like, you know, the pads in the background.
The way the music is now, man, you know, this whole keeping it pure and it's got to be pure black metal, that's archaic, that's gone. It's you know, the music has evolved. That's an ancestor of what we do, and a lot of bands now that are coming up and doing really well for themselves, bands like Lorna Shore and pick another band,
Shadow of Intent, I guess.
you know, bands like that. They're mixing the black metal, and it's still heavy as fuck, it's still dark as fuck, but it's just evolved, it's something new now, and we're just a part of that evolution, and we're proud to be a part of it. We don't want to be stuck in the 1980s, you know, burning churches and fucking goats, you know. We've got better things to do, man. We're evolving, we're growing, we're better.
It's basically a lot of like, even like modern bands, it's like, even if they're not primarily black metal, they're leaning towards the sort of blackened side, so it's like you get like this darker sort of feel. And I think like when I personally was joining in, I think I actually joined through the adverts on Facebook. It wasn't like I was joining a pure black metal band. I think the advert said Black and Death, and obviously when I joined, I kind of have more influences going into like more death metal-y stuff. And when we're writing stuff, we're not really thinking about it's like, oh, this song needs to be black metal, this song needs to be like death or something. It's kind of just whatever comes out, just comes out.
It's got roots in black metal, but it's got other elements to it. It's not one-dimensional.
Yeah, sure. Like even the bands from the 80s and 90s, usually they just evolve out of their sounds. I don't know. I remember in Thrones, for example, like their sounds nowadays is completely different. It sounds dark and heavy as shit.
Yeah. It's, a lot of these bands that started back then don't sound anything like they did back then as well. Like Dark Throne, I think, sounds more punky.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure, for sure.
Just
And now you get like black metal projects that's by the old standards that would not even be considered black metal. Like they have clean singing and stuff as well, which is like would be a blasphemy back in the days. But like now it's bands evolve, and so does it sound.
The lyrics vary in the message. A lot of it in Drekavac is like misanthropy and the apocalypse and just sort of commentary on the human condition and the different elements, darker elements of the human condition of being human. You know, I always think of the lyrics as a dark mirror held up to the face of humanity, and the reflection is always distorted because I think we view ourselves as species generally as through rose-tinted glasses. We think of ourselves as the superior species. We think of ourselves as better than anything else on the planet, and there's not a damn thing that we can't do without technology, but that's given our species a god complex, and we've forgotten our place in the natural order because of it. And it's just stuff like that. It's just some things that I feel are important to say, you know, and I like to use a lot of philosophy, from especially Greek philosophy, things like Heraclitus and Diogenes the Sinope and things like that. I try to integrate all these, because a lot of the things that they were saying back then apply just as much today, if not more so. You know, and I think it's important that people need to be reminded that this is the way the world is, because we so easily forget, absorbed in this technological world that makes us feel superior and godlike.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's super interesting that you actually have meaning behind your lyrics, and I see that nowadays usually when artists like get inspired by old school philosophers and stuff, their lyrics are much richer. You know, and I totally agree with you. Like we as a species, like I don't think we're above anyone else or anything
Absolutely.
else.
Thing is, you know, we all think we're all powerful until a tornado or a hurricane comes along and fucks shit up. Then suddenly we realize that we're maybe not that high up on the totem pole, you know. But as I say, there's lots of different elements to it, misanthropic and apocalyptic, and just
I think it actually makes music a little bit more, I don't know, almost unique in a way, because there's such a lot of shock value that's already been done. So if you think about it, like a lot of older black metal bands, like they were kind of going more for like, oh, let's just be anti-Christian, let's make let's purposely be satanic, and that's already been done. It's like it's almost like a cliche at this point.
The most shocking thing you can do is make a human being think.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. How did you come to this lineup?
Just sort of kind of came together. We didn't really.
Probably a bit of luck and somewhat misfortune as well. I think we've had more guitarists than hot meals, to be honest. You know, but,
and I mean, the lineup now we have is the best we've ever had. You know, they're dedicated, they're great songwriters. You know, they put on great live shows. There's no egos and shit. You know, we've had to deal with a lot of stupid shit from guitarists, and it's just, I think, as I said, perseverance, and just as Mephistopheles was saying, it just came together organically, naturally. It just happened. We met Max through an advert, as he previously said, Adran.
Because it's kind of a cool kind of thing, because Adran at one point was arguably a fan of the band, And of course, we had an opening for guitarists at the time, and they expressed interest in it, and he became a full-time member. And of course, with Max as well, we put out the advert for a guitarist, another guitarist, and we interviewed several guitarists. Max came in, and we specified just learn this, and the next thing, and all the rest of it, and show us something of your own. And Max came in and played, it was like a 5 or 6 minute epic piece. I was like, yeah. It's him. We want him. Yeah.
Oh, the guy we got in before then, you thought he was quite a character.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he even knew his own name though. So.
No, he wasn't quite 100% on planet Earth with us. Nice guy, but yeah, like
wrong style of music. I think he kind of thought we were like a Nirvana tribute band or something like that. You know, it's kind of totally in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know. So. I think he was a bit shocked when we started playing. He's like, right, this is what we kind of play. Jeez. So yeah. Yeah. So.
We're not for everybody, you know. We're like I said, we're a totally different monster.
Extreme music is not for everyone in general. So.
Sure.
And
I think with addition to the keys as well, because that was like the most recent update that we had. It's because every release that we've done, it had some sort of keys in it post-production, and we thought it would be cool to actually have full-time keys member as well, because like it just adds a lot more punch to the music. So
it's really difficult to find a good keyboardist.
I was going to say it's
for
the
this
twofold
style
thing,
of music, you know.
It's someone who can play what we need and somebody who wants to play what we like as well. So, and we're blessed with this man here who can do it all.
You can.
Very talented.
But I think it makes all the difference. Like having the person play live instead of like backing track or something.
Yeah. Well, not forgetting our wonderful bass player up the back who's hiding away there. We shall not go and mention, but at one point, you know, we'd been through a guitarist who was originally the bass player, and then he swapped to guitar, he left the band, came back to the band, then left the band again, and our amazing bass player here at the time didn't even play bass, and she's actually learned to play bass during her time in the band, which is actually amazing. So
it's amazing.
I'm absolutely blown away by that.
I used to do the
makeup.
I was makeup and roadie, driver and everything. I was always involved with Drekavac, but never actually playing in the band. And of course, when they were out a bassist, it was just supposed to be a temporary stand-in thing until they found a new bassist, and I'm still here, so...
It's like 5 years later.
Congrats.
He just sat me down, taught me how to read tab, and...
So, you've been, like, probably done a ton of shows by now. Like, do you have any funny stories about concerts or something on the road?
We're not going to mention triggers,
We have a funny one about our Edinburgh gig.
God.
Actually, to begin with, that's funnily when we played in Edinburgh. I think that was probably the very first time we've played to a pure like black metal crowd, and that was very unusual because the shows that we normally play were not like expecting people to move, but it's a lot more common for people to like interact with the band, to like move, like have pits or anything like that. That was a pure like black metal sort of audience. They stand there with their arms crossed. They have like no emotions whatsoever. Yeah, it's like they don't move, they don't clap, so you can't really tell whether like they like you or not. And then I remember I came out of the show and I was kind of ranting. It's like, oh, it's like probably one of the worst crowds I've ever played for. I'm like, no, it's like this is normal. This is how like black metal fans like enjoy music, because I've noticed they had exactly the same response to every other band I've played as well.
Yeah.
So I think that was a bit of a shocker.
I had to go out to actually see if there was a crowd out there. It was because the way that the lights were set up, it was like I was blinded by the lights. There was a right in my face, and you couldn't hear, like there was no cheering between the songs. Oh yeah, fucking everybody's gone. Everyone's left and we don't even know it. So I went out and there was actually people out there, but I don't know if they do this over in Portugal or in Europe, but in the UK, for the most part, the crowd likes to keep a nice, safe 6 foot distance from the stage.
Okay.
And it's just like, look, you paid to come in here, you've paid to see us live, come step up at this fucking front. I'm not going to stick my dick in your mouth, you know, just stand up at the front and represent and enjoy the energy. That's where I love to be when I go to a show. If I go to see fucking Behemoth or something, I'm not sat in the back wondering where the fucking toilets are. I'm out at the front because I want to feel the energy. You know, when it's the Behemoth show that I was at last, and that little numbnut, I had to keep fucking pushing him over the bloody barrier because he was crowd surfing and managed to come over me every single fucking time. I don't know how he did it. But I was there and I saw this guy flipping off Nurgle, and Nurgle was getting pretty fucking pissed off about it, as you can imagine, and eventually just lost his shit, put his guitar down, jumped down, started pulling on the guy's hair like that. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? He got back up on stage and started giving the guy the thumbs up. I was like, that's it's an interesting fan interaction, you know?
Yeah.
But my point is that if you're at the front, you can be, even if it's a weird fucking event like that, you can be a part of it if you're at the front. And the same goes for us when we play live. You want to be a part of the performance, come up to the front. Don't stand 6 foot, 8 foot back, you know?
You do draw a lot of your energy from the crowd, so if you're getting nothing from them, it's very off-putting.
Yeah, it's kind of like hard to really get into the show. It's like, but when you have like back and forth interaction, when like the shows normally crowd like likes to, I don't know, heckle a little bit, so it's nice to have a little bit of banter in between.
Yeah.
Or even if you can see that people are genuinely enjoying the music, it's a lot more enjoyable to play. It encourages you more to move and I don't know, go into the crowd or so.
Even if they cheered after a song would be like something at least.
Yeah,
tumbleweed rolling by and you're like, what the fuck's happening?
I mean, we've played crowds that are fucking insane. Like, we played Forez and those guys were just like ravenous. They were basically chewing up the floor. They were just awesome to play to, and the energy is incredible, and you feel it, and you give it back. It's a symbiotic relationship. You get you know, energy from the crowd, and you give out energy, and it's just a two-way street. It goes back and forth, and it just builds and it builds and it builds. And at the end of it, you know, you just, everyone's had an awesome experience.
Yeah.
You know.
In Glasgow, for example, we had a great crowd, really.
Yeah.
People was enjoying the music and everything, was jumping around, doing the beats and everything. And the only funny story about myself, for example, on the stage, was that people was enjoying so much.
Yeah.
And they have, for example, like beers, bottles of different alcohol and everything. And I know exactly that us is designing the masks, it didn't make me a hole. So they give me a bottle of drink, and I was just holding that in the middle of the stage, and I was looking at that, and they told me, drink it. And I was like, from where? So I needed to pass it over and everything. I was enjoying the gig, but the crowd was awesome, really. Just that later on I was thirsty, I needed that bottle, but I couldn't drink it.
He's got ear holes. He could have just...
Yeah, through the eye.
To the eye, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, I also play shows where I'm on the drums, but even then I can see people, because I think in Portugal it's very different. People usually are much more hyped, even for the small bands. So when the big bands are playing, it's even more. For example, there was a Mayhem concert like 2017 or something, and there was like mosh pit every song in Mayhem, like the tourist bands.
I mean, that's one of the reasons we want to play Europe, just because we want to sort of experience that crowd experience, the European crowd experience. Like I say, because it's different over here. We have shows over here that were amazing, and the crowds are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's always terrible, but we've always been led to believe that shows in Europe are pretty ravenous, pretty crazy. You know, we want to get on that shit and just represent and play our music to those guys and just have a good time, you know, and hang out.
How did you come to these visuals, like the masks and all that?
It was more of a practicality thing to begin with, you know, putting the makeup on and everything, especially when we had to travel for several hours, and sometimes we wouldn't guarantee to get somewhere on time, so we'd have to like get everything on really quickly, and it just became a hassle to get it all on and looking great. So it made more sense to just put some absu on and then put the mask on, and then you're ready to go. It was more of an efficiency thing, but as time has gone on, it's grown to be a part of our identity, it's grown to be a part of who we are and our energy. I mean, these things fucking hurt. They're not fun to wear, but you know what? They're a part of the energy of the band. The pain is a part of our music, and
We're all
we
custom.
feel it.
Yeah.
You're
You
all
all
accustomed to
Okay.
each person's face,
Indeed.
and we try and incorporate
Bits
some
of their
of the
personality.
personality
into
in
the
it,
work.
yeah.
cool, cool.
There's a little bit of personality in all our masks of who
Yeah.
we are on
So
the
I'm
inside.
a burglar.
Mephistopheles right now is the only one that still wears the corpse paint on stage.
Yeah, yeah.
As you know, being a drummer, you get really fucking sweaty.
Yeah, I get it.
I think the simple reason for it is if I had a mask on, I'd probably die. So
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
stop
sure,
breathing probably.
sure.
So I've not actually tried it yet, but I'm too afraid in case we get mid-set, like just pass out or something.
Get a mouth to mouth.
Yeah, I would be scared
God.
to play drums while wearing a mask too. Like,
Oh,
every
yeah,
song I'm just like toweling my face and drinking water.
Yeah,
so
oh yeah.
good.
See, if you wore one of those, that's like a towel and a mask at the same time, so you could wear one of
Oh,
those.
yeah.
It's good.
Last question, like, what are your plans for the future, and do you have any thing that you're working on, like an album, EP, singles?
Oh, right, well.
You're a droger!
One of the few shows we currently, one of the few current shows that we have. So we have one on this coming Saturday, actually. It's a Battle of the Bands. We have quite a big, probably like the biggest show so far, down in April, and it's with a band called 1914.
Yep.
So that's going to be all the way down in Wales, and it's also the place where we played our Education Fests a few months back, actually. So that's, at the moment, the kind of like the biggest priority. At the same time, we've also got plenty of material that's already kind of written. It's just getting the case of getting it recorded. So at the moment, I personally have like utilities to record stuff at home. I actually acquired it quite recently. So it's just getting, just basically getting things, getting the wheel rolling essentially. So in the spare time, just recording stuff, and hopefully it will compile some E EP.
Yeah, just shout out to everybody that's supported us so far, that's been there for blow during the hard times and the good. Shout out to Paul McMillan for being a staunch supporter. Same for Gavin Cadaver and all the other promoters that have worked with us. All our fans, we love our fans. You guys are fucking crazy and we love you. And yeah, we just look forward to bringing you more of the beast, more Drekavac in the future.
I mean, shout out to Luke to actually get us in touch with you.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one, I'd say.
Yeah, but definitely shout out to Slaughter Industries. I trailed off a little bit there.
Okay.
The voices! They're talking to me! Somebody say something quick.
Thank you very much for this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Rock and roll, Portugal!
Something different. Something different, more difficult for me for Portuguese.
Something more difficult.
Yes.
Wow, what is
I
this?
just wanna
Portuguese
try it.
test? Fuck.
What languages do you speak?
I speak Greek, Polish.
Give him a tongue twister.
Wow, that's a lot, but tongue twister. Okay. Otorrinolaringologista.
It's just a word.
Otorrinolaryngologista.
Almost.
What are you looking for, citizenship or something?
Otorrinolaryngol. Fuck, I forgot the last word.
It's hard, it's hard.
The last one is otorrinolaryngologista.
Logista.
Logista. Otorrinolaryngologista.
Don't worry about that.
No?
Just forget it.
Okay.
It's pretty difficult.
No
even
wyścigam,
for
wyścigowy,
some Portuguese.
wyścigówkę.
Great, you've turned a guitarist into a rapper.